So this is Lau Noah. She is a Catalan composer and songwriter that I think is one of music's best kept secrets. Her music is harmonically dense and lyrically rich, which explains why she has collaborated with the crocked one himself, Jacob Collier, alongside many virtuoso musicians like Shai Maestro and Chris Neely. Her music is just unlike anything that I've ever heard before. Check it out.
De corazón frío, sin compasión, creador de la guerra, adueñado del sol, señor del agua, del río, del mar, a los dioses te fuiste a olvidar. ¿Cómo eres capaz de quererme sin reconocer tu verdad? ¿Cómo confiar? ¿Cómo confiar? Puede que el alma me lave la cara y me deje ver con claridad la belleza del ser humano. Termina en cuanto la fe deja de luchar, el jardinero se muero que quise probar.
Man, this stuff is crazy. It's colorful and intense. The key changes are surprising and evocative. But what is so mind-boggling about this stuff is that she is self-taught. She does not know any music theory. And this was apparently one of the first compositions she ever wrote. I can barely wrap my head around this. How do you have such deep harmonic language without the technical training? I asked Lau a little bit about her process.
The very much like, let's harmonize every freaking note you're singing with the guitar. So just place my fingers randomly here. And then I went note by note with my voice. Do, 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 you know? And found a melody on my voice that matched the guitar. Lo que se me hace es un espejo que te haré. Todo mundo no sé si papi. Da tu corazón es gana, está vivo, no mates lo que se te ha dado. Solo para ti, solo muérete, solo cámbiate. Se te mueren los ojos por usar el tonto.
Is that
note by note?
Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking, it's just harder work than other people. You play things that are ergonomic, that make sense for the shape of the human hand. And you try to make it look as if and sound as if it was much harder than it is, but it's not that difficult.
Okay, so I guess on the surface, it's not that hard. You take idiomatic shapes to the guitar, and then you harmonize those shapes with your voice. But there clearly is some more stuff going on here. There are key changes, there are complex seventh chords, there's things that I would identify as something like a 2-5-1 progression. Do you just pick up that stuff from exposure and osmosis? How do you learn to write with this harmony intuitively?
I was part of the jazz world for a while. I was just watching people.
Would you say that that's where you got a lot of your harmonic language, or?
I think it's a blend between that exposure of many years of more complex harmonic language from the jazz world, but also all the Disney soundtracks I was obsessed with as a kid. There is a lot of complexity in that language as well. I think the most genius composers are the ones who bring in that complexity, making it feel and sound so universal. You are too beautiful, my dear, to be true. And I'm a fool for beauty, fooled by a feeling that because I found you, I could have found you too. Intuitively, I understand the need for the architecture of the song, and it's the same as like writing a book or cooking a dish, really. Like, you know when there's too much green on the plate and you need like a change of something. This is in and to be with, which this is very jazz language, I guess. Fooled. Instead of going like fooled, right, you go fooled by a feeling, and again very expected harmony here. Fooled by a feeling that because I found you. Is that right?
You talk about that chord?
Yeah, that's just because you can. It's funny, it's there for you to use it, you know, you just gotta play it. First of all, the chord can hold on itself because it's one of the most beautiful chords ever.
Yeah.
And so, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense in terms of the plot of the song. You are too beautiful for one man alone, for one happy fool to be with you. Wonder the man with eyes of their own to see.
Part of the reason why I know Lau is because she's based in New York City and has a wonderful community of musicians that have learned her music. I really dig her arrangements with guitarist Yoav Shed, for example. And, you know, I've been playing her stuff for about 3 or 4 years now. And part of what's been exciting working with her is seeing how many traditions she draws from and makes her own.
You've been very influenced by Americana and like country music.
I think my appeal for Americana and folk music is what they achieve in people. It's quite surreal because they are grabbing something that has to be so core, so centered in human emotion. With carvings of pretty roses and a bird in the middle with wings so wide to hold me when the day close. Like, why can Chris Stapleton play this 4-chord song? And I feel like listening to this 1,000 times more than anything else that I've been listening to that has like millions of chords in it.
Why do you still play millions of chords then?
I think the goal is to try and find a way to play the millions of chords and make it sound like it's 4, you know? To make it sound, yeah, again, like a good story, like a good book. A chair low enough so when by the river I can reach the water. A chair that is strong so when 10 miles along my days and my years will not matter. A chair is a chair till you get it hard is a heart till you break it apart. And part of the song was for you from the start. Sing along, don't you worry. It's like I would say in a good movie, like The Bridges of Madison County. It's a love story. Now, you have the scene of the first kiss. That first kiss is this song, 4 chords. It's a feeling. It doesn't matter. It's just 2 people joining body parts that make everybody feel something. Everybody who's got a heart feel something. But if you go there without an amazing story before it, it's just cringe. How do you make that kiss amazing? It has to be difficult to get to that point. It has to be interesting. There have to be a lot of like elements around. That's the thing. Like you have to get far away enough so that coming back is exciting. You know, in Pirates of the Caribbean, they're trying to rescue Jack Sparrow from the world of the dead. Captain Barbossa is the one leading everybody, and he has no idea where they are. And he goes like to find places that no one goes to. You have to get lost. I'll pick up some wood and make a little bench to rest by my side for you.
I love this so much. I've talked all the time on this channel about the importance of harmonic choices on narrative, how these technical musical decisions can impact story and drama and emotion. But let's zoom in and soy jack a little bit at her harmonic choices. How exactly are we getting lost here?
I actually really think that what I'm doing is finding these very folky patterns of like, what's this game? This American game of slides and staircases?
Chutes and Ladders?
Chutes and Ladders.
It's called Chutes and Ladders.
It's Chutes and Ladders. My skill is to know where to put a ladder to climb up to a different key to make it sound seamless and to just really repeat those very folky, stable, grounded patterns, but switching keys in the middle.
The story of getting lost and finding your way back home can be expressed not through just words, but also musical phrases and musical decisions. In the case of the bridge to this tune, Wooden Chair, Lau expresses that through both melody and harmony. For example, this phrase is built by targeting a series of ascending minor third intervals that don't adhere to any particular key, creating tension in a literal rising action of the story, which is resolved to a falling action, a denouement in the key, a descending scalar pattern.
There's a chair till you give it a heart, heart is a heart till you break it apart. Because you're like, where are you then? That brings you back to the center. There has to be like instability to balance, to instability to stability. And that game is what makes everything interesting.
This journey can also be expressed through harmony. And I want to talk a little bit about that. The bridge starts with this chromatic bass line moving upwards. We start on an E flat, harmonized with an E flat major chord, the 4 chord, followed by an E, harmonized with a C add 2 over E, followed by an F, harmonized with an F major chord, the 5 chord, followed by a G flat, or a C minor 7 flat 5 over G flat. Now, my jazz brain hears that and immediately interprets it as some form of a D7 chord. It is a rootless voicing of a D7 flat 9 flat 13 because that sound resolves up a half step in the next measure to a G minor 7.
The cello so when by the river, so when by the river.
The pattern matching that I've been trained to do hears this as some kind of 5 chord resolving to 1. Now, when I am improvising, or when any jazz musician improvises, we are constantly relating the sounds that we hear to this technical language of 5 going to 1, because our vocabulary is intimately tied to that language. But that language can cloud our perspective, because it assumes that these musical choices were made with that language in mind. And in this case, they weren't.
The way I find the chords is by testing, trying to figure out the best sounding chord, the closest to the chord I played before.
So just look at my hand as I play these 3 chords. You notice how my fingers were barely moving? Everything just kind of like fit underneath my hand. So in traditional counterpoint, the stuff that I learned in music school, there's something called parsimonious voice leading, which says that when you switch chords, you want every note, every voice to move as little as possible from chord to chord. And what we could say is that when we do this kind of movement on a guitar, when you're moving the fingers as little as possible, you're engaged in parsimonious guitar fingering.
This was the first step. Like, this is the shape of what we're working with. When you play it like this, it sounds good. When you play it like that, it sounds good, you know.
This idea can be used to explain chords which are hard to explain otherwise. For example, the next several chords in the song are C sharp diminished to D minor to D diminished to F sharp minor 6, which is hard to pin down to a key, especially if you're looking at the harmony from the perspective of a piano. However, when you play them on guitar, you see that the chords flow from one to the next very easily. The pinky finger stays on that second string, and the other fingers slide around in an ergonomic fashion. The composition is justified by the kinesthetics. Pretty cool.
So when by the river I can reach the water, a chair that is strong, so when time moves along. A chair that is strong, so when time moves along.
These compositional choices can only be understood through the lens of guitar fingering. Choices made not purely by the sound, but by the athletics of producing the sound. Very much, I think, kind of like metal riffs. Metal riffs feel awesome to play. They sound awesome, and yet if you try and apply the lens of functional melody or functional harmony to metal riffs, often they look nonsensical.
The inertia of your hand going from one place to another, that feels good, also sounds good. I think that makes sense.
My big point here, and this is maybe a little dangerous to say as a music theory guy on YouTube, but naming something forces a perspective on it. If you name a sound 5 going to 1, chances are that's then your experience of it. It's harder to hear it as anything else. It's harder to be aware of the frequency response of the sound, for example. You're not listening for 500 hertz, you're listening for 5 going to 1. It's harder to be aware of the kinesthetic response of the sound. You're not aware of the finger movements, you're just aware of the 5 going to 1. It's harder to be aware of the Pirates of the Caribbean response to the sound. You're not aware of the story of it all, you're just aware of 5 going to 1. If you're intensely interested in botany and are aware of the scientific names of all the different species of trees, you may, quite literally, miss the forest for the trees.
Yeah, I am definitely afraid of learning the technical language. And the fear is that I will become way less free. And I know it's not the case for many people. And many people have made a very clear point that so and so and so actually benefited so much from learning and all this. And that expanded their horizons. In my case, I just don't have enough proof that that's true.
The older I get and the more music I make and the more complicated music I make, the less I am conscious of what things are called. Because as Lau shows, the deeper you go, the more your perspective needs to shift to other things. Other beautiful things that connect myself to the music and the people around me. The perspective of an athlete, for example, who is deeply conscious of every motion of their body in pursuit of something great and meaningful. The perspective of a storyteller who is deeply concerned about the narrative beats of a scene. How drama, intrigue, conflict, and resolution are so deeply felt in musical choices, and what that might communicate about the human experience. Lau and I come from very different worlds, but ultimately I think we're concerned with the same thing, which is music as a direct line to experience. The way we get there is different, but I think we're equally as passionate about the beauty that can be found in sound and story. In that spirit that Lau and I have written an EP together. It's entitled The Way Under. It's a collection of bass guitar and classical guitar duets that explore both of our perspectives and how they're not actually all that different.
Exactly.
My instructions for this next take are to do that Ricky Martin thing. I don't know exactly what she means by that, but...
You know.
I know exactly what she means by that. It means play some bullshit.
We have a very similar way of perceiving beauty, and that's not a given, you know. And that's a very important one. I think there's a shared language there.
Okay, that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You just want me to do that? Okay, fine.
Adam,
Okay.
everybody wants you to do that. Embrace your nature. Yes! Yeah. Exactly. What? Stop doing while we're recording.
I think it was the first time, someone was actually creating their own world to match mine. For me, it's a way to explore from someone else's unknown into my unknown. And I'm just looking forward to the palette that will happen over time when we write more music together.
Book us for gigs.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Lau.
Yeah, thank you.
You can go check out The Way Under wherever you stream your music, and also go check out Lau's music wherever you stream your music. I gotta say, it's very exciting to start working with her. I have another writing partner alongside Sean Crowder, who appreciates lots of notes. And, you know, as a person who enjoys notes and the combinations that can be made thereof, it's very exciting to start working with somebody else, and I'm excited to see where all of this stuff goes. So yeah, until next time, everybody.